Hello, all you heroes and villains out there. I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, and I'm here to talk into the void of the internet for 30 minutes about the geeky stuff in Young Justice Outsiders. This is Season 3, Episode 8, titled Triptych. I don't know what that word means. I should have probably looked it up before this. But whatever, I don't give a shit. So this episode begins with Dick Grayson reappraising Barbara Gordon, who asks him to tell her what happened. We see Shade. Dude, Shade! Oh my god! This is a interesting character because he's able to meld and fade into the shadows. A very underutilized character who has straddled the line between being a good guy and a bad guy, a thief by trade. He is joined by Mist and Livewire. These are characters who don't normally work in this kind of environment, as we see that they are infiltrating, I believe it's Star Labs. They knock out Dr. Stone, Victor Stone's dad, Cyborg's dad, all that good stuff. And they try to make out with this specific device, which is fairly large, and Shade has a bit of trouble getting it to meld into his shadows. Dr. Stone actually manages to wake up, tripping the alarm, and a guard comes in, to try to stop them, only for him to be ambushed by Cheshire. However, the guard manages to get a shot off on Cheshire, which is kind of like, damn, that's, like, this series' increase in brutality in places continues to take me off guard, because I'm just not ready for it when it comes to this series. But they manage to all escape with the devices. A side note, we see Dr. Jace and Jefferson Pierce after a night of passion, but Jefferson still laments his feelings towards the whole situation of, him leaving the Justice League in the lurch of a big breakup, how he feels like he abandoned Calder and all that good stuff, but he does feel good about helping out Dick Grayson in a smaller, more intimate team, as he puts it, which, actually gets in contact with him specifically. As we see that, Dick Grayson has called on everyone except for Khan, who is apparently working out some relationship issues with Megan. And everyone is clued into the fact that they know about Cheshire, her theft of the device from Star Labs. I don't know why I said Cadmus. So they're going in to try to get some intel on her, from her, about the League of Shadows. And as Cheshire is being worked on, in comes Dick Grayson's team of outsiders to stop the plane in its tracks, only for them to be ambushed by Cheshire's forces, with Black Lightning going up against Livewire, Dick Grayson fighting Mist, and Shade going up against Halo and Geoforce, where he even goes as far as to, throw Geoforce into his shadow dimension kind of realm, because he actually melds into another plane of existence, honestly. Shade is so cool. He's one of the coolest. But Dick Grayson manages to freeze Mist with a device because, in order to hit him, she has to at least turn her fist solid, which gives Dick Grayson an opening to freeze her. Although we later find out that she's okay. I immediately was just like, oh my god, are they going to shatter her and kill her? Are they going to shatter her and kill her? But that never happened. Now, that's how dark this series has gotten my frame of mind, because beforehand I would have been like, yeah, she'll be fine. She'll probably be fine, but here I'm just like, ooh, did they kill her? Throughout this whole episode, there's so many sexual innuendos, and I'm just like, dude, you guys need to chill, because when Shade was, reporting the device. He's just, there was this comment about, it's like, I thought size didn't matter from Livewire. And when she's captured by Jefferson Pierce, Black Lightning, she's like, go ahead, I can handle any kind of lightning. And it's just like, oh, you never had Black Lightning before. And it's just like, dude, phrasing. But with Shade, Halo discovers this other new ability. That's this white, intense light that actually even burns Shade. And he's unable to stop it. And he ends up, fading away and just spitting out Geoforce. And, Forager has to tell Geoforce that it was Halo who had helped him. Meanwhile, Tigress gets on board Cheshire's plane to, get some information from her, and Cheshire, having no real loyalty to the League of Shadows, informs them that everyone where they're stationed, crap, I forgot what island, no, Santa Prisca, where, Bane is the head of. So apparently Bane might be, in charge of the League of Assassins. He's been allied with them from time to time, so Bane might have some affiliation with the Light now. So Cheshire, gives up all that information. But, Artemis also tries to talk Cheshire into possibly coming back with her and seeing her daughter. It's just like, don't be a deadbeat mom, see your daughter, be with her, have some time with her family. But Cheshire says that she will always be Cheshire, always will be an assassin. But before she leaves, she does ask Artemis to give Leanne a hug from her, with Artemis ultimately telling Dick that Cheshire managed to escape. We then pick up with another location scene which took me off guard, of Batman asking Dick Grayson, similar to how Oracle had asked Nightwing. Batman asked Tim Drake, Jesus Christ, to get him up to speed on how his mission went. And I am so happy to see this here because, man, I've wanted to see Tim in action some more because, Invasion didn't do Tim enough justice. Like, nobody does Tim Drake enough justice, especially in recent years. Like, Tim has just not gotten the attention he's deserved ever since the end of, the late 90s, early 2000s. Like, Tim has just been underplayed too much, in my opinion. And we see that him and his team were observing Jarvis Tetch, also known as the Mad Hatter. And we see his team, which essentially is, if you've read Detective Comics within the past couple of years, is kind of like similar to the Dark Knights that Batman had going for a while there, with Tim Drake, Robin, Spoiler, Stephanie Brown, who used to be Batgirl in the previous continuity before the New 52, but she's now back to being Spoiler, which is her prominent role. I like it when characters have their own specific characteristics and names. I don't mind legacy characters, but when a character can be all their own, it helps them be identified a little bit easier sometime, in my opinion. We also have Arrowette, Cassie King Jones, who had her father saved in season 1 and is now part of the team here, which is so fun because Arrowette just never gets anything in any form of media out there. She just never is so underutilized and underplayed. And we don't have, Tigress has gone on to using a crossbow in combat, so she fills in for the bow activity this time around, and she acts as the new and since Roy Harper is Arsenal and Will Harper is just Will Harper, we have to have that Arrow sidekick action in there. And oh my god, we see Cassandra Cain, who was also a previous Batgirl, but is now going by the title of Orphan, her new 52 persona. And I love this costume because it's an amalgamation of her, Batgirl outfit and her new 52 Orphan costume, with the stitched mouth and all that good stuff, but with the armor of the new 52 Orphan Cassandra Cain. And she just, she's quiet, she doesn't say anything, she's so on point, and I love them for doing this little segment with this team. Just, oof, Greg Wiseman, I love you, man. Yeah, our whole team is amazing. VD, dude, oh, that's so on point. I am gushing. But they noticed that Jarvis Tetch has been drinking a lot of water with clay deposit in it, which immediately clues everyone in that it might be Clayface. This is immediately confirmed by Cassandra just coming in and slicing up Jarvis Tetch to reveal that it's Clayface, which everyone's just like, did you know that was the case? Which, man, I would love to get some backstory here and how all these characters came into play, but, the series has become less about, doesn't really give origin stories so much, which I'm okay with. Just get into the action. Show me these characters who don't get enough screen time in any other form of media, because, dude, Stephanie Brown, Cassandra Cain, Cassie King Jones, Tim Drake, yo, I never thought I would see them in any form of animation all together like this. This is a masterclass right here. And Spoiler starts announcing it's just like, oh, ignore Clayface, we know where Jarvis Tetch is. And Clayface immediately goes racing off to protect Tetch, which was Stephanie's deception. And she had laced Clayface with this tracking device, so he would lead them right to Tetch, who we see is performing experiments on this guy using nanotechnology to control his muscle movements and his body as a whole. But as Clayface arrives in order to protect Tetch from the newly arrived team, Tetch activates the self-destruct for the building and tries to escape, only to be followed by Spoiler, who immediately loses them. So, more than likely, they managed to just get away without them noticing, which is very peculiar. As Tim goes in to investigate the whole situation with the console and what Tetch was working with, only to be ambushed by Clayface, who immediately lost the scene, but immediately gets ambushed by Cassandra Cain, Orphan, which is hilarious because Cassandra and Clayface, Basil Carlo, actually had a close relationship in Detective Comics, which just adds this intricate layer of just like, man, isn't it ironic that we see these two fighting despite the fact that they had a really close relationship during DC Rebirth. So that's a little fun note there. But as Tim goes up to the rafters, he notices all the bombs activated ready to explode, and he gets his team out as soon ASAP. He tries to get Clayface to come along with him, but Clayface is just programmed by Tetch to just stay there, using the nanotechnology that Tetch used on him. The building explodes, but they notice that Clayface is starting to reform. And then we cut to another scene, which has Wonder Woman chiming in to get some information from Miss Martian and Aquaman, Calder. And we have this information of Brick and this unknown metahuman being transferred to Belle Reve, with Billy Batson, now older here, and Barry Allen, the Flash, acting as escort for this mission, only to be ambushed by Sportsmaster. And man, I love Sportsmaster in this continuity, because Sportsmaster is so often treated as a joke. I just love seeing him treated as an actual threat, where he pulls out a javelin that explodes, and after he's ambushed by Wally and Billy, he pulls out this hockey puck that sends out this shockwave that knocks them both back. So I just love seeing his silly gimmicks just played so straight, because that's all you need to take a character seriously. Just take them seriously and they can be seen as a credible threat. And you see that he's working with Abracadabra in order to free everyone, only for them to be ambushed by Rocket, who comes jetting in order to capture Brick, whereas Aquaman comes in to take down Kadabra. But they're unable to stop Sportsmaster making off with this unknown metahuman into an alley. As you know, Captain Marvel and the Flash come in to chase after him. They're completely gone, just like Jarvis text before. And then we see the connecting factors, and man, was I so taken off guard by all of this, because I was just like, man, it's weird that we're jumping around to all these different situations, and I felt like such a dumbass, because it's just like, oh, that's the connecting factor, they're all in the same room, it was all a ruse, you know, the whole breakup of the league, it was bullshit, all of the intricate factors have all been working together in order to deceive the light. And you know, they've been investigating this whole situation with Branchwater Security, which is an offshoot through various different companies of Stag Industries, led by Simon Stagg. And anyone who knows anything about Simon Stagg is, where there's Simon Stagg, there's a character of Metamorpho, a character who completes the appearances of all the Outsiders team in this continuity. Because the Outsiders always consisted of Halo, Katana, Metamorpho, and Black Lightning. So it just, all the connecting factors are there, man. I love this team. They just came in with such fun stuff. It's so fantastic. It's so just, oof. They got me. They got me on this one. They got me. And, you know, they talk about the fact that, you know, there's all these connecting factors behind this metahuman situation, where you have Sportsmaster, who has been going, and his team that have been going in and stealing various metahumans from being taken to Belle Reve, where they are then put under control at some point and used to do various operations. And, you know, Calder talks about the fact that they saved Brick from a fate that's pretty bad. They're going around controlling all these metahumans and then using them to enact various schemes. It's just these connecting factors. And the whole funny thing about Jarvis using nanotechnology is that was a plot line in, I think it was Batman Eternal, that involved Tim Drake, the character Bluebird, and Spoiler. So just all these connecting factors, just, ooh man, just nerding out over here. I'm just having a nerdgasm right here. I'm sorry, it's disgusting, but I am. And you know, McGann tells him it's just like, but you know, it goes deeper than just that. And, you know, we have Tim releasing Basil Carlo from the control, saying, hey, you know, no longer be controlled, and Carlo's thankful. So we might actually see him ally with Batman because of this situation, which was a theme, you know, in the original, you know, in the comics, you know, Basil Carlo trying to be a good guy. And Batman talks about the fact that they released Brick, Basil Carlo, and Abracadabra into the custody of Belle Reve because they're prisoners. But we have Calder saying that because Mist and Livewire in this continuity are minors, they're exploring different avenues. So, you know, taking into account that Mist and Livewire in the comics had moments where they flirted with being good guys, especially Livewire. We then find out that McGann and Connor not having actual relationship issues had actually gone to investigate Simon Stagg obtaining the device that was stolen from Star Labs. And man, all these connecting factors, all this deception that throws you off guard, but it makes so much sense. That is what I love about Young Justice in the first place. That is what made this series so cool to me from the very beginning, because it throws you off and then it brings everything full circle towards the end. And because of that, they were able to, because of all the investigating that they did, they were able to, leave an anonymous tip for the authorities so that detectives Renee Montoya and Harvey Bullock could go in and arrest Simon Stagg because of his involvement with metahuman trafficking. And as the device is taken back to Star Labs, we see that there's some kind of electrical output being discharged by it. So we'll see how that goes. But we come to find out the identity of this unknown metahuman who is all connected, who was taken by Sportsmaster. He was then experimented on by Jarvis Teach, and he was then controlled as a lackey by Cheshire. And all this time it was Shade. Dude, what? I didn't even put that together, that it was all the same person. I never would have guessed. I never connected those dots. And they're just like, well, we don't know what will happen with Shade from here on out, because it'll take some, coercion in order to get, Cheshire to release him from his control, which we see Cheshire doing more than likely because she hates her dad. She hates Sportsmaster, and finding out that she was used as a pawn and it ended up working together with Sportsmaster. She's just like, here you go, you're free. Go about your business. And Shade, back in his Shade the Changing Man, well, no, different Shade, Shade of the Darkness, the Shade, his usual attire of a top hat and all that good stuff, because that's his thing, always wearing top hats and all this fancy dress and all that good stuff. He comes in to exact his revenge on Simon Stagg. Oh, mwah, it's beautiful, it's a masterpiece, fantastic, just fantastic. But Wonder Woman asks, it's just like, and you're okay with all of this? And Batman's just like, yeah, well, we managed to do some good work here. We managed to get everything basically solved. He doesn't see what the problem is. But Wonder Woman lays it on the line. It's just like, look, we've been deceiving everyone we know. We've gone around telling everybody that we've fractioned off, when in truth we're still working together. And Batman, being Batman, basically, it's just like, it works, it makes sense. The light did it, so why shouldn't we? Just working in the shadows, not showing that we're still connected as a whole. That way we can get the jump on them. But Wonder Woman's just like, but then we have to lie. We might have to lie under oath, which is why they didn't include Superman on any of this, because Superman won't lie under oath. But Diana, it doesn't sit well with her. And Bruce is just like, well, then you could use your diplomatic immunity as a person from Themyscira, which isn't completely allied with any specific nation. So it's just all this political stuff and intrigue. And Wonder Woman, being the paragon of virtue and truth, she literally has the lasso of truth. It's just like, and all of you are okay with this? Just lying to everyone you know this way? And the question just lingers in the air there. There's no real answer given. And everyone just kind of looks at each other. Like, almost trying to decide. It's just like, are we okay with this? Because it's that funny thing that always kind of went on. If you go from the first season, the team was very forthcoming in certain situations. And, at the end of the day, they all came forward and just told everyone out and out. It's just like, hey, these are our secrets, in order to build that trust. And then everything was almost disrupted because of the situation with Artemis, so-called death, and how it fractured everyone, and sent them in turmoil. And secrets can be the greatest defining factor in everyone. And it's so interesting to see so many members of the original team just being like, yo, just keeping these same kind of secrets that were kept from them all that time ago, being they're really taking to these roles that they used to just kind of despise to a certain degree. They have really grown into being the same kind of people they often said they'd be better than in certain cases. And I love it, just the tension, the intrigue, the double meanings and situations going behind everything else. It just, it does it for me. It's what I jones for in this series, what I felt was lacking for the longest time for a certain degree ever since the series started. But it feels like with with this episode and the last one, we're finally getting back into the swing of things to really show what made Young Justice so amazing from start to finish. But I've rambled on long enough. If anyone has listened to this all the way through, I thank you for putting up with my nerding out. If you liked what I had to say here, leave me a like and maybe throw a comment down in the comments section. Tell me what your favorite part of this episode was. Did you like the fact that we got to see a bit more of certain characters who just kind of seemed to fade away during the beginning with Tim Drake's team? Do you wish you saw more of Geo4's, Halo, and all that going on there? Were you happy to see Cheshire back in action for the most part? Did you enjoy seeing the whole situation with the ambush with Sportsmaster coming back into the picture? Did you like the connecting factors of Shay just being this pawn throughout this whole situation, or how the Justice League members at least are creating their whole little own secret cabal for the most part in order to oppose the light, which Wonder Woman even calls them out. It's just like, yo, if we're the opposite of the light, then that would make us darkness. Does that really sound like something we wouldn't want to be? Which Batman's just like, I love darkness. Darkness! No parents! But just so much intrigue and interesting aspects and suspense. And that's become a common thing because, hell, that was a whole big plot point of season 2 with the faking of Artemis's death. Just, in order to fool your enemies, first have to fool your friends. And it worked so well there. They managed to do a lot. Get one over on the light in the whole situation with the Reach because they worked that way. So it just alright. And hey, if you didn't like this video, feel free to leave me a dislike and maybe tell me what I'm doing wrong in the comment section below so I might better myself for the future. No, I will not make these videos shorter because I have a lot to say and the internet is for voicing your opinions and being called a dumbass in certain cases, so whatever. And hey, if you actually enjoyed my video, feel free to subscribe because I'll definitely be bringing you more episode reviews of Young Justice because I just like nerding out over shit, and if anyone likes to listen, there you go. But until then, I will see you on the next video. Thanks for joining me. Bye bye.